Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chrissy Lowry from the Craft to Be Kind show. The Craft to Be Kind show is at the moment on Podbean. It is a podcast being driven through Podbean, and it also goes to Shopify, and I think it's Apple as well. I am going back in a couple of weeks, I think, which is really exciting. So I'll be able to go live from the studio. I can't wait. It's been 4 long months. I've really missed it, but that's okay because we can still get everybody's stories out. And today we have our Sharon. Sharon, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I've got a day job that I really don't like, but it serves a purpose for now. But my passion is crafting. I can't remember a time when I didn't craft, whether it was knitting or even what I call gluing and sticking as a kid. I suffer with my mental health quite a lot. I have sort of recurring bouts of depression and anxiety, and craft is one of the things that actually really helps me get out of that, because when everything's overwhelming, there is always something I can do, even if it's just a quick 20 minutes with a colouring book, and it just kind of takes me out of myself for that time.
Absolutely.
So last year with lockdown and working from home and everything, I really struggled, and I actually ended up off sick quite a lot. But another crafter that I know, who is actually our Meet the Maker over on Shop Handmade next Tuesday.
Who's that?
Rachel from Beads by Vachio.
Okay.
She started up just little catch-up groups, and then we actually did a few craft workshops over Zoom.
I bet that was a lifesaver, wasn't it?
It was an absolute lifesaver, and they used to laugh at me because I was doing some of my bead embroidery, and I'd like before the actual Zoom, I'd sit there and make sure I had like 6 needles all threaded up ready, so I didn't have to sit there and thread them on camera, and that was an absolute lifesaver. And like a lot of us, I've collected various things I've made over the years, and I thought, actually, you know what, it's time that I started doing something with them. So I started started posting on a Facebook page I've got, and sort of had tried posting on a third-party website that I've got. Wasn't brilliant. I started a small blog, and then I found MIB, Mums in Business, and Shop Handmade, and things have just really gone on from there.
Was that all about the same time then that you found MIB and Shop Handmade?
It was all about the same time. It was about, I want to say it was about October last year. Might have been a little bit earlier, but that was, so I was back at work and I still really needed something else to do because my day job is boring. I'm an inventory controller, so basically I count books. I don't physically count them. I have to count them on the computer and order them in, and allow for the fact that most of them are printed in China and it takes 6 months to have them. So it's a bit, I say my job involves a crystal ball, but then meeting MIB and Shop Handmade, when I was still sort of having a little bit of a rocky time, it gave me an outlet for, it's what I call my softer skills that I don't get to use in the day job. So, the chatting to people, the networking, the sharing ideas and just really supporting one another.
And that was, I think, even without COVID, it's so important for, I only know about crafters, but for crafters, we need it. We need that support. And for people who's listening that doesn't know what MIB is Mums in Business International, which is run by the owner. I have talked about MIB quite a lot on my other podcasts. It's an amazing network and we're all part of it, or a lot of us are part of it in Shop Handmade.
Yeah. And at first, actually, joining MIB, I felt a bit, well, I'm not a mum.
Don't need to be.
But you don't need to be. It's all about women, women in particular. We can help one another so much. And then I also, through Mib again, met Danny, who I believe you did a talk for this morning.
I did. And I've known Danny through the crafting network, is probably the right words, for years. We started around the same time, but we never really connected until Mib, which is weird, I think.
Yeah. So I joined her Crafts for Success group. I did a couple of your courses and was incredibly excited when I won these Twitter awards, and I was posting them all over Facebook.
Good.
And now when I talk about my cashmere brooches, I say my award-winning cashmere brooches.
Well, that's exactly what it is. That gives your business credibility for awards. Absolutely.
But it also, as well as the credibility, it also gave me that bit of
emotional boost.
Emotional boost, and stopped some of the comparisonitis, which
don't do that.
But we all do it, don't we?
I haven't in a long time. I have years ago, I must admit, but I've worked that out. That doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you whatsoever.
So Christmas came and went, and that was kind of pretty crappy. My mum is in a support. My mum is clinically extremely vulnerable. She's got COPD, and because my sister lives closer and doesn't work, she's in a support bubble with my sister. So it meant Christmas. We ended up Christmas with my mum was Christmas Eve, a pub meal, sat outside, and just some like perspex shelving, having lunch. I have never been so cold in all my life.
Oh.
But you know,
did you wear your scarves? Did you wear your scarves?
I do wear my scarves. I haven't got one on, actually. I think that's because my other half put the heating on and has left it.
But this is a podcast, although this also will go to YouTube, so people will see it. But the podcast, describe your scarves, because they're awesome. I think that's what people know you for, along as well as your cashmere.
I have tidied them all away. So it's my range of infinity scarves. So I arm knit them. So basically I get this really chunky, really fluffy yarn. And I do actually, it goes on my arm and I knit it on my arm. I actually have all the stitches lined up my arm. So that is great fun. And people like them. They're a bit different, and actually there is a reasoning behind it. Because you're knitting on your arms, you end up with these big gaps, but it's like string vests. Those big gaps trap lots of air. So they keep you really warm, but you haven't got anything really, really heavy on. And being of a certain age, I'm an absolute nightmare. It's very, very unusual for me to be cold. And my mum always telling me off. A couple of Christmases ago, she actually bought me a coaty gun, because she thought it might get... So basically, it's like a giant cardie that you wear as a coat.
Oh, okay.
Because she was like, well, we might get you to wear something out in December.
I'm the same too. I've just gone, you can see I've just gone out, and I just went out in my jumper.
So,
hot.
So my infinity scarves, they're perfect for that because they don't add that extra weight and bulk, and they actually come in 2 lengths. So there's just like the smaller ones that just sit in a single loop, and just go around your neck once. And then there's the longer ones that I tend to wear most often, because if you can either leave it as a longer loop, so you've got something keeping the back of your neck warm, which is the bit that you really need to keep warm, but you've still got some space at the front. But if it gets really cold, you can twist them and they actually pop it back over your head, and they go around twice. double ones. And the other reason that people find them so useful, particularly people that have got kids and people like me, that if somebody's going to catch a piece of clothing on something, it's me that's going to do it. So because they're just like a big loop, you can't shut them in the car door, or the kids swing round your neck on them, or sometimes if you're walking along the road and your scarf like blows up between your legs if you've got a long scarf on. None of that happens with them. So yeah, that's what those are.
They are. I think that's what I saw about you first. And the other thing that I relate to, or that I feel surrounds you, perhaps is the right word, is your sustainability. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So for example, and I've got a couple of bits here. So these are my little brooches, there's the camera,
There you go.
that I won my awards for. So I was browsing around the internet, as you do, and I came across this company. They upcycle cashmere. So they take old cashmere jumpers, pre-cashmere jumpers, wash them, check them for holes, make sure they're okay, and then they make other accessories out of them. And then what is left over from that, they sell on to crafters. So to me, that bit of cashmere has actually been saved from landfill twice.
Yeah.
So that's where I started making those. And because of where I source the material from, no two are ever the same. I never know what I'm going to get. I also stitch them just with threads that I've already got at home. So they really are sort of got that eco-conscious, and just being that bit more intentional of where I get stuff from.
Yeah, and you have hosting that's green. You write some blogs that are about sustainability. It is. I do see you as that. I see you as that. I think a lot of people probably do as well. Which is
and it's also the things like I do a range of washcloths, dishcloths, whatever you want to call them. I call it a posh flannel, but I don't know if that's a Gloucestershire thing.
It might be flannel, yeah.
Flannel, but there's this move towards sort of, like reusable makeup pads and cloths, and a lot of people are making them and crocheting them, and everybody's going on about, oh yes, I'm making them in cotton. And so yes, we're not throwing away single use things, but what people don't realize is cotton isn't actually that environmentally friendly. You think of, oh well, it's a plant, it's got to be.
Yeah.
But actually, it takes a ridiculous amount of water to grow it.
Yeah.
And because it's grown very intensively, the soil just goes to and has to have tons of fertilizer and everything else put on it. So organic cotton is much better, but there are also a few alternatives. Linen, which is made from sort of like another plant, that is really good. Gradually, you're starting to see hemp becoming more wider used as a fibre. Although the stuff I've tried to spin is a bit hard. It's still a bit rough, I think. But what I tend to use is bamboo. And I use either bamboo or a cotton bamboo mix, because I can't do everything. And at least if I've used a mix, it's a bit not as bad, because bamboo, I don't know if you've ever had any in the garden or seen the gardening programs, it just goes wild.
Yeah, I had some in one of my houses in the past.
So needs very little water. It just gets on and does its own thing. And so it's much, much more sustainable. Bamboo is beautiful.
I have seen a few of your things and a few people floating around. Obviously, you see things on the crafting circuit, don't you? And it looks soft. It does look.
It is really, really soft. And of course, now it comes in some lovely colours. I mean, yeah, obviously.
You get that in normal sort of craft wall shop, yarn shops and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm very lucky. The local yarn shop that I use isn't actually that local. It's over in Devizes. But I just love, one, it's supporting another small business rather than going to one of the big box companies. But earlier this year, I messaged her and I said, I want to make some face cloths. Ideally, I don't want cotton because it's not as friendly and it's expensive. What do you suggest? And then we had this whole conversation around, well, you could use a bamboo mix, or if you can wait, one of the yarn companies was bringing out sort of an organic cotton and all the rest of it. So if you ask, the stuff is out there.
Yeah, it's just looking, isn't it? It's like everything. You've got to do your research, don't you?
I know. One of the things I've been researching desperately, and you'll laugh at this, is trying to find sustainable faux fur fabric.
Oh, no, I think there is some, isn't there?
Well, I've been trying to find some because there's actually a market, you know, all the big bobbles on hats.
I love your bobbles on your hats. I've seen them.
But those you have to be so careful. One, I don't agree with the air miles of bringing them all the way from China anyway. Two, they're made in sweatshops. And actually, a lot of them have got animal fur in, even though they're sold as synthetic.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of
we're quite vegan and vegetarian in this family. And yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there's a market for bright bobbles that you can put on your hat, and they're really easy to make by hand. You just cut a circle of fur fabric, stitch around the ends, pull it up, stuff it, and sew the end up, and there's your bobble. But actually finding somewhere that doesn't import it from China or wherever, and that you can be sure it hasn't, got rabbit fur, or because that's what's in them a lot of the time is rabbit fur. Oh. And it's an absolute nightmare. So shout out if anyone knows where you can get sustainable faux fur fabric. I'd love to know.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it somewhere, but my brain is like, whoa, can't think. I have seen it. It's there. I know it's there. But I think as a world, as a crafting world as well, we are making that move over. There's a lot of people, thinking about their packaging, thinking about what's actually in your products and stuff. It is coming. People are doing it.
It is, and it's also things like, for me, I've always knitted. I still have, but I don't use them. 3 knitting machines. So I have knitting machines.
Machines that knit.
You have to sit there and push the thing along. It's a bit like ironing once it's set up. Yeah, you sort of have to thread them up, and then there's all these needles on a bed, and you've got this, and it's a bit like an iron that you just run backwards and forwards, and it does the knitting for you.
This is exciting for people who are crafters. You'll know, like, all the new stuff that you find out about the equipment and the tools is ace in it.
Yeah. And they come in different I can't even remember, gauges they call it. So like I've got one that I can knit chunky yarn with, and then I've got one that I can knit 4-ply on. And you get like all the punch cards where you put these cards in with holes punched in them, and you can do and it will actually make ferrule and all the coloured knitting for you.
Do people with arthritis or issues with their hands can still knit?
Yeah, I would say if you're using the finer gauge machines, there are various tools and stuff that you have to use that you do need some of that fine movement. But if you get a chunky machine, especially if your eyesight's starting to go, it's that bit bigger, everything's that bit chunkier and that much easier to hold.
Oh, cool.
So it does make it easier. But also thinking of sustainable knitting from actually doing it and being able to do it for a longer time, there's lots of different ways around that. So something I do these days is I knit on a circular needle. I don't always join it up to make a circle. I don't know what is,
Sharon. What's
so imagine two short knitting needles with a bit of cord between them. So it's all on one piece and you're knitting that, but the weight of what you're knitting is held on the cord. So it sits in your lap rather than you holding all the weight on your shoulders like you would with straight needles. So again, for people that get arthritis and things, that is a fairly simple change to make to actually be able to carry on knitting.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because it does, when I have to stop and sew, and it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to do something else. But I find other bits and pieces to do, you know what.
But there's also things like, I've never tried it because I've looked at videos on YouTube and I thought, no, I just can't get my head around that. There are actually different styles of knitting. So bait to me,
not like knit one, purl one. That's not what you mean.
No. So you could basically, to me, knitting is you stick a needle in, put a loop around it and take it off, and you're making all these interconnected loops.
Right.
I'm what they call a thrower, so I stick my needle in and then my hand comes off the needle and to bring the yarn round. And I knit right to left.
In the past, I've knitted a jumper, I'd like to say.
Wow. There are other ways. There's something called continental knitting, and your hands don't move off the needles, and you sort of pick the yarn up with the end of your needle, and it almost knits the other way. And but it's using slightly different muscles in your joints in a slightly different way. And there's people that say, oh well, if they're knitting, if they say keep alternating between the two styles, because it's using your joints and stuff slightly differently, it makes it easier. But I'm like, no, that just looks completely foreign to me. I just can't.
Yeah, I learn one way and that'd be it for me. I won't be able to do another, I don't think, in my stuff. So yeah. What else do you do? Because you're not just about knitting, are you? There's a lot to you.
Oh yes, and that is something that I've actually gradually trying to niche my business down, as they say, but I'm not being that successful. But I think that's because my business is very much me and I'm very much my brand, and I like doing lots of different crafts. And you might find I'll make a short run of something and then get bored. So if I've made 10 of something, once those 10 have gone, that's it. I'm not going to make any more.
See, that's the marketing strategy as well, though.
Yeah. So right, I'm going to make some short run stuffs, short run things. Once they're gone, they're gone. Just because I'm such a butterfly mind, sort of all over here, and look, something new and sparkly, let me give that a go. So I do various bits and pieces. This, again, I don't know if you can see it because this is teeny tiny. That
you have to pull it back a little bit, usually from the camera a little bit.
So it can.
Oh, cufflink.
It's tiny. It's a cufflink.
That's lush.
And these started because, and these are one of the things that I got mixed feelings on. A few years ago, before I knew better, I used to wear nail wraps, and they're little bits of vinyl that stick on your nails.
Mm-hmm.
And I found I was getting all these leftover bits of vinyl. So it was like, right, I'm going to do something with them. So cut them into little circles, stick them in like a sort of case almost, stick a glass cabochon on the top.
On it. That's such a good idea.
But I haven't been doing so many of those just lately because I'm finding it harder and harder to find the supplies in the UK.
I've had issues. Not with the same product, but I'm having that. I'm finding that difficult at the moment.
Yeah, it's actually, we shouldn't really be having it from China.
No.
But because actually, if we keep buying it, we're clocking up the air miles. We're supporting the companies that don't necessarily pay their workers very well.
And you get absolutely charged even more as well now, so it's not sustainable for.
Yeah, and because of Brexit and everything else, and so that one, I've got stuff that I will be selling, but it'll be fairly short run because it'll be what I've already got until I can find suppliers that I'm happy with to carry on with.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And what else do you do apart from all your? I mean, you do body shop as well, don't you?
Yep, I'm a body shop at home consultant. I joined them middle of 2019, and it was one of those things. I started it because I love body shop products, and it was, well, if I sell them I can get discount on what I buy for myself.
Yeah.
And I started doing all the parties, going to people's homes and trying out face packs or giving yourself the hand massages, all the rest of it. And it was actually quite a good social outlet for me because I can be a bit of a recluse. So it was like, well, if I've got a party once a week, I know that is one evening I'm going to get out of the house. And if I don't make any money, I make is kind of a bonus because I've got out and been sociable and chatted with other people. But I have found with that, because of the pandemic and everything else, we had to stop face-to-face parties.
Yeah.
And I sell a few bits online. I had a customer message me this morning saying, Sharon, I'm nearly out of my hand cream. I cannot live without it. So I've still got a few regulars that come back. So I still do a few bits and pieces with that, and can make up sort of gift baskets and stuff as well. And one of my new products will actually, sorry, I'm beeping. One of my new products will use body shop stuff. I'm really excited about it.
You've got a new.
I've got a new product coming.
When's that going to launch?
It's a collaboration with a couple of other business ladies.
What's that?
Do you want me to tell you about it? It's going to come in the next couple of weeks.
If you're allowed, you can. She's got a couple of minutes left, so yeah.
Okay. So it's actually it's not a mental health, it's a time out toolkit.
Oh, wow.
So
we're talking self-care here?
Self-care. And the idea behind it is it comes in a little bag, and when you just get that overwhelm and you just don't know what to do with yourself, you grab the bag and there'll be things in there to give you that self-care. So
because we are terrible, women especially are terrible at self-care.
And it's going to have little things in there. So it's going to be in like a bleached cotton bag that one of the shop handmade madmins is making for me.
Wow.
And then there's a key ring that another lady that I know that's got like a little poem that she's written on, that's in there. tea bag, because even
Or have tea.
sometimes just cup of tea.
Or have tea. Yeah, we're British.
I've got cup of tea, a little Body Shop hand cream, but also some instructions to say, don't just slap it on, sit there and actually give yourself a little hand massage with it. A thing to go in the bath, a bath bomb, or they're also very nice if you stick them in the washing up bowl and stick your feet in it.
Oh, lovely.
And then I just connected with somebody this morning in my MIB group that actually does like little positive button badge, pin badge, little button badges.
Yeah.
You know, the positive cards. So
statement, affirmation things.
That's it. So just, it's got all little bits of, and the other thing is, it wouldn't be me if it didn't have yarn in it.
Of course.
It's got a yarn and crochet hook, and people say, but what if I can't crochet? It doesn't matter. You can wrap a piece of yarn round a needle and pull it through a knot. If nothing else, you can just sit there and make yourself a long chain.
Good for distraction, that is.
Because you've sat still and distracted yourself for 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So I'm
when really, are they coming out
then? About that.
When do you think? A few weeks?
Just waiting for the bags to be finished. A load of the bits were delivered this morning, so it's sort out the extras that I'm going to put in and just finish writing the instructions up. Awesome. And then they will be going along, and of course they'll be on my shop handmade.
Of course. So tell us, just to finish off, tell us where people can find you, Sharon.
Right, so I'm in lots and lots of different places. The easiest way to find me is if you actually Google nails, knots and notions. That will take you to my blog, which has actually got a page on it called My Crafty Footprint. And on that page, there's the links to all my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all my social media accounts. There's a link to our book.
Oh, we haven't mentioned the book, have we?
We haven't mentioned the book.
We need longer than 30 minutes.
There's a link to our book. There's pictures of my awards. Tells you, there's a link obviously to my shop, and then I've also given the bricks and mortar shop that I sell in. I've actually popped their address in there as well. So it's kind of
Why don't you share that into the group or on the end of share this somewhere and people can check it out.
I'll pop that in. And again, that was just something that I thought, you know what, I was using Linktree, and then I think,
no,
I want to make it mine.
Always do it back to your website.
Back to my page.
Absolutely.
Back to my page. Also, people can sign up for a VIP newsletter.
Awesome.
So it's kind of kept it in one place, which is back to my page. I'm getting the hits, but it's so easier having it in one page.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a way to share it. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
This will be done probably by Saturday. If not, it'll be Sunday, but it will be done at the weekend with the other one I did this morning. You have been listening to Chrissy Lowry from the Craft to Be Kind show. This is a podcast, and we'll be seeing you again soon.